3 long days, some I don't know. It takes a little more than what you show, and that's yesterday. Yeah, yesterday.
Welcome to Bobby Finn Knows Everyone, Full Tab Sports Production. I am Bobby Finn, born and raised on the east side of St. Paul, where we are about looking out for each other, working hard, and telling it like it is, no BS. And that's what you're going to get on our podcast. East Side Straight Talk in a world that has gone a little sideways. Along with me, Tom Lord. How are you, Tommy?
Hey, yo, what's happening? Thanks for having me, Bobby.
Thanks for coming.
It's going to be fun.
Gonna be fun. We do have a very, very legendary guest today. Some call him the coach from Cheers, but Billy Rhody. Billy Rhody, how are you doing, Billy?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I've been working on you for 6 months at least, right?
I got a busy schedule, you know.
That's fantastic.
Billy Rhody, another East Side legend.
He's an East Side legend.
Well, before you guys go too far with that East Side
He's a
legend,
South St. Paul boy,
I'm a
right?
South St. Paul guy.
By
like-
proxy, though.
Yeah, but you know what Doug Woog once said? The East Side and South St. Paul are joined by Concord and Arcade Avenue.
Concord Arcade. Yeah, that's about the same
That's
thing, right?
Doug Woog told me that one time.
That's
same
funny.
Same kind of people.
Billy, you know, I've heard a ton of stories. You've been around my family for a long time,
Got a lot of stories, but
a really long time. Are we going this right now, or what are we getting into?
Yeah, we're
Lord.
doing this right now. We're
Right?
getting into the. Billy's going to let us know how it is, how it was, how it should be.
Oh man.
well, I
right?
wish it should be because it's not like it should be anymore. But
Yeah,
that's just the way it is.
that's the way of the pod right here.
Yeah.
That's how we tell it like it is. East Side telling it like it
Straight talk.
is, how it should be.
I talk about youth hockey and everything, and now I sound like the dinosaur from the 2000 back in the day. But
Well, the problem is we need the dinosaur, because without that, we're lost.
yeah,
I mean, we don't know which way we're going anymore. I think we're just all over the place, and everybody has their own little thing. Like it worked, and like I was saying, we were talking about this earlier. My dad's friends he hung out with were Mexicans and Indians and every walk of life, poor people from everywhere.
Yeah.
And they all got along. They all
everybody.
figured it out.
Like I just said, and when I grew up in South St. Paul, I went to a Polish church. We used to have mass in Polish on Sunday, and I was an Irish Catholic. So
That's hilarious.
and an altar boy. So yeah, it's really changed. But it's they're all good people like you guys. You young guys try to keep it going, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
So you probably know Bill Rhody from Strauss. I call it Strauss Hockey. Strauss
Strauss Skates and
Skate
Bicycles.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Billy's been there since I've known the place. And that's why I call you an East Sider, because that place is on the east side of town. And
Well, here's kind of a funny story. So, right out of high school, I got recruited to play. I played high school hockey at South St. Paul, and I played with legendary guys that played in Warren Miller. Warren played 10 years in the NHL. I played with the Yakko boys, Dan Bonk, national champs, a couple other guys that played D1 football at the U. And right out of high school, I got recruited. I was a goalie, and to go to play at St. Cloud, I went to school one day, and I got a call from the Fighting Saints I was the assistant equipment manager. So I left school after one day.
One day.
Drove back home. It says, I'm going to make $3.25 an hour washing jocks and washing underwear and everything. So I started work for them. I went to we had training camp in Duluth. And for your older people listening, Mike Antonovich was my first roommate to this day. We are still friends. He's always reaches out when I see him. So I got to be friends. I'm still friends with Danny Heatley's father, Murray Heatley. And when Danny played with the Wild, he'd come to town and we'd hang out.
Where's he from?
Danny's from Calgary.
Okay.
And Murray, we called him Murray the Mole. He was about 5'6", about 160 in front of the net. He'd like a little mole. But he played at Madison back in the late 60s. and we became really good friends. And it's great to when Danny played here, he we'd hang out after and have dinner with him and everything. A wonderful kid. He just, if you remember his accident
he was-
down in Atlanta,
Yeah.
but he's just the nicest.
Phenomenal player.
So yeah, he was a good guy. So I worked for the Fighting Saints. I've got, it was funny because one of my favorite guys and one of the best guys was Bobby Hull. Bobby Hull would sit and sign every kid's autograph after the game. Every kid. And I was the last guy out of the locker room. And I'd always see him sitting there, and the lights were off at the old Civic Center.
Yeah.
Down there. Well, and here's a story that I'll tell, one of my many stories. But one night we played on a Sunday night, and it snowed like crazy. And there was about 3,000 people there. And Bobby Hull signed every kid's autograph. And I was coming out of the locker room, and I said, "You want to ride back to the hotel?" And he says, they stayed at a place called the Cap Towers. That was like 6-8 blocks from the Civic Center. So it was 12 inches of snow. Everything was closed. He says, "Hey, Billy, I'm really hungry. I need something to eat." Well, we come out of the ramp up to the Civic Center, and I'm trying to find a place to eat. And the only place that was open was Mickey's Diner. And you guys know what Mickey's
trolley.
Diner,
Yeah.
the trolley car.
Yeah.
So here's Bobby Hull, the first $2 million hockey player, wearing his fur coat.
7-3 trolley.
Oh, yeah. He's wearing the big heels. We walk into Mickey's Diner. He sits down, and there's 14 bums in there. He's talking. They didn't know if he was Bobby Hull or
Right.
or the president of the
Or
United
Bobby
States.
Finn.
Or Bobby Finn, yeah. So we sat, we had breakfast. It was about 1 a.m. I took him back to the hotel. So about a month later, he comes back for another road trip from Winnipeg, and it was a lot nicer night, and he wanted to get something to eat. And he says, "Hey, Billy, take me back to that Mickey's Diner."
Oh, that's fantastic.
Well, nobody knew. He didn't get
Right.
bugged. Nobody asked him for autographs. And to this day, he passed away. I have a game-used signed Bobby Hull stick. Well, about 10 years ago, he came for the state tournament, and I brought the stick down to have it re-signed, and he remembered my name.
That's awesome.
It's 40 years later. "Hey, Billy, how are you?" So
That's-
that's how I got going in hockey. Not playing. I really wish I would have played, but I got involved in the Fighting Saints, and then I started to work part-time at Strauss in 1972.
Oh my God. That's the year I was
No
born.
Well,
way.
Well, here's as the story evolves, as I get along with life. I was working for a company, and I had back surgery, and I couldn't go back to work. So I'd go in and get my skate sharpened, and my partner in crime and my lifelong friend there, Moose, I'd come in there and I'd sit in BS for an hour and a half. He finally told me to leave. He says, "If you're going to hang around, I'm going to hire you." So he hired me part-time.
Did Moose worked there in 72 as well?
No, I'm sorry. I kind of got older. After 72, 20 years later.
Yeah.
I think it was like 92 or 94. I had double back surgery. So I would go in there, and he was working there. And again, he says, "If you're going to hang around, bug me all day, I'm going to hire you." So I started working 2 to 6.
That's-
And then some guy quit. I worked full time. I said, "I'm just going to work for a couple of weeks. I'll find another job." Well,
30 years later.
30 years later, I got very comfortable, and it's turned out to be a tremendous job, and meet you guys. And I can't tell you how many. Just a lady came in today. She says, "Oh, it's so nice to see you." I said, "Well, how long your kid been out of hockey?" She says, 10 years. I was going to say, 10 years? Holy Christ. Wow. But it's been a fun job. It's a great, great story. Like I said, it's the cheers of hockey stores, of anything. Everybody knows your name, and we don't get to, we're a little different type of retail store. We bust our ass to make customers happy, led by Moose and the ownership. Young ownership are kind of running it now, and you guys, they're Stillwater parents, so they're really good people. Sean and Janelle Hastings, and we got a good group of people there. Scott Hambley's been there for 30 years. As you guys know, he's the double A Bantam coach at White Bear, and got a lot of young, good kids. Andrew Ellis, Alan Ellis, it's a fun place. I mean, I'm unfortunately I'm 69 and I'm still working. I should be retired.
Yeah,
You
but-
want to keep working.
Yes.
You gotta keep working.
You're so good. I mean, you guys are so good, and you're so. I mean, it is a cultural atmosphere in there. Every time you walk in there, I mean, it's not just a retail store. It's way more than that. You guys put your heart and soul into it. It's a store is actually small.
It's small. Yeah,
So
we
you guys
actually
have to
remodeled.
work your ass off.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, you guys are running constantly.
Well, it's funny you say that. Even I got a pedometer on my phone, and usually around September till about Christmas, I put about 12,000 steps in a day.
Wow.
I'm running back and forth, running. But I was going to tell you a little story. About a year ago, a guy came in from Chicago, and he says, I haven't been here in 20 years. And he walks in the door and he goes, oh, Strauss, I still smell it.
That's great.
That
You
is
should sell
fantastic.
the smell. Put it in
Sell
a
the
little
smell.
bottle and
Yeah.
like a Strauss,
Well,
a candle. Make a
Well,
Strauss candle.
The funny, Moose and I laugh, and people say, well, the carpet's been there since 1972. So it's the same. We actually remodeled one of our rooms. We're going to we have a shooting booth in there to test kids' shots and some other things. That's the first new carpet that's been in there. And
Where is that?
you know where the skates are stocked,
Yeah.
right next to where we just did it last week. It's all up and running. So kids can come in, and we have an iPad, and we'll have you take a shot, and Bauer Hockey will recommend the curve, the flex, what size, and we're not super running yet with it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Mr. IT, so
The
he's
beta
with the
version.
iPad, yeah. But it's we're gonna have a couple other things in there, and we're gonna open some more space with retail apparel, which is real big now. And like Bauer's, Bauer co-operates with Lululemon, and you guys know with young kids
Oh,
what
yeah.
that's all about. Yeah, it's
Yep.
crazy.
That's all my kid wears.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard the high school hockey team might move to some Lululemon apparel this year as well. Like,
Well,
oh my
somebody
God.
did a couple years. Oh, the AA Bantams at Stillwater.
of
They bought-
course.
yeah.
You wear a lot of Lulu, don't you, Rhody?
Well, I learned boo boo.
So is
Lululemon.
is it true that Strauss is the oldest hockey store in the country? Even maybe?
Well, we credit in North America, but I
Yeah,
can go
because-
as far as the world now. So
Come on,
yeah.
1880 what?
1887.
Jeez.
Like I said, Strauss was started by John Strauss Jr. He came from Germany, and then he started making steel blades back in the 1900s
For speed skaters?
for everybody, and we got
Yeah, yeah.
skates hanging up there. His son John Jr., who I worked for in the 70s, wonderful. Him and his wife Ella, they ran it after their father died, and their nephew Don. You probably remember. You used to go in there. Don,
Yeah.
bald-headed guy, just the greatest guy in the world.
Bobby got into a fight with him one time.
He was buddies with the Schwartzes from Harding.
Oh,
Always,
yeah.
But Don passed away about, everything's 5 years to me. It could have been 8 years ago, but he was a nephew. So that was the last of the family, of the actually Strauss family. So you think about this what are we at now, 139? There's been two families in that whole business.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And still holding on. And
Isn't America like 139 years old? I feel like the Revolutionary War was 139 years ago.
probably was.
My God.
when people come in and ask, how long you guys been here? And I said, well, 139. I said, I'm the oldest employee in the sporting business. I'm 119.
Yeah.
I tell them I'm pickled. So
Should take a little break.
Fantastic. Yeah, sure. We'll take a little break real
because
quick.
he's got 1,000 more of these coming.
I hear you. I understand it. Let's talk about some of our sponsors, and we appreciate you guys, the sponsors that are jumping on board to help out. Of course, there's Jimmy's Salad Dressings and Dips, and Jimmy's has been a sponsor for a long time. And it's awesome because it's coleslaw season. That's right, slaw season. And Jimmy's has 3 types of coleslaw. They got original, pineapple, and fat-free. So as things are heating up, that means you got to cool things down a little bit. And you throw a little Jimmy's coleslaw on your plate next to your warm burger and fries. So it's great for backyard barbecues and grilling, and you mix it up. It's great on not only burgers, but, you know, warm chicken sandwiches too. So find Jimmy's Coleslaw at Cub or Hy-Vee, or check out the website. Just go to jimmysdressing.com. They've even got a coleslaw calculator on the site. You can figure it all out there. So like Jimmy's always says, Bobby always says it too. Don't you be messing
with the dressing.
That's right, baby. And then I'll talk about one more here. We got a new sponsor on board, which all you boys are going to like out there. It's called Chill Boys. I even got the package right here. It's called Chill Boys. What Chill Boys does is they make life-changing underwear. That's right. You get a little steamy, you get a little warm downstairs, and what do these boxer briefs do? Well, for starters, they're made out of bamboo, okay? And it's designed to keep the boys cool when you need it most. So just you open that package, and as soon as you do, you feel that cool sensation. It's made with that cool material. And it makes you comfortable all day long, especially right downstairs where it counts. So check them out. And don't take my word for it. Try some of those life-changing underwear yourself. Just visit chillboys.com and you keep your boys cool this summer.
So the bamboo is good for the wood.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I like it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But hey, let's get back to Billy.
All right. So more Strauss stories. We got to talk more Strauss stories.
More Strauss stories. I mean, you guys on a daily basis. I mean, tell us who walks in. I mean,
if it is the cheers of sporting goods and you're the coach, right? You're coach of sporting goods. What do you got coming in there day in and day out? You got famous people, you got athletes, you got all sorts of stories. You probably got hot-headed hockey dads like Bobby, pissed off and ready to fight the world.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've had a couple of quick stories. I've had Christmas Eve morning, guy walks in and says, "Can I get a pair of blades for my skates?" And I look at the guy, he looks familiar. He was TJ Oshie. He got on the airplane and he brought his skates when they wouldn't let him come in with the skates because they were weapons.
Oh my God.
And he came in, his wife was from West St. Paul. I know his father-in-law's last name's Cosgrove. So they came out there. He had my pair of blades because he wanted to go Christmas skating. I go, here's the NHL All-Star.
Yes.
Needs blades. The other guy we had, one of my favorite story was, God, I'm blanking on his name now, the guy from Black Hawk Down, the actor from Minnesota.
Oh, Josh
Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett came in.
Yeah.
So, long story, a week before that, his brother played hockey at Central High School.
I mean, St. Paul Central?
St. Paul Central. That's where Josh Hartnett's from.
Really?
His little brother. So
I don't like him.
His brother came in the following week. Guy comes in and he's got a ball cap on, pulled down. And my brother just bought some skates, and I'm looking to get the same thing. And I got him skates. I heated them. Well, there was 3 little college girls, high school girls sitting, and they're giggling up a storm, looking at this guy. They go, "Ooh." And one of the guys from the back room comes up through the hallway and sees him sitting there after I tie his skates up and heat him. And all of a sudden, this was right after Black Hawk Down. And he goes, "We got a Black Hawk Down. We got a Black Hawk Down." He starts laughing, and the girls go, "Ah, it's Josh Hartnett." Well, he sat there. He signed autographs. He was just a trooper. Couple of the Hill Murray girls were playing up at Aldrich, and they found out this was like he was there about 1, and they were playing at 3. All of a sudden, about 8 of them came down to see him. Somebody called up to Aldrich and says, "Hey, Josh Hartnett," said Strauss. Oh, he's another guy that was there. I told you guys earlier, Hillary Knight was in the other night, the Olympic. She was getting a
USA women's captain.
What a nice person, and she had her bicycle shipped out to Idaho. We've had so many, but it isn't those people that makes it. It's guys like you two guys and all my friends down Stillwater and White Woodbury, and those are the people that we've had. You have enough hockey guys. I've seen enough. Mark Messier was one of the coolest guys I ever met. He's been in the shop because him and his sister started Cascade. Remember the days of Cascade helmet, hockey
Yep.
Yes,
helmets?
they did that
And
helmets,
Mark was in there. Guy Lafleur, I've met Guy.
the flower.
The Flower, yeah, he died. He just died here a couple of years ago.
God, that Stanley Cup story I heard about him was incredible, right?
Here's kind of another cute story. Thomas Vanek's father came in from Austria. This was when Thomas was at DU, and he says, "I want a pair of skates just like Thomas." So,
You say call the Warrior rep. No, he
no, it wasn't Warrior Man, it was CCM. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
So Thomas's dad comes in, and I find him a pair of skates. Well, there was a machine in the day that vacuum tack that you put your feet in a machine and suck all the air out of it. So we did that to Thomas's father, and he's sitting in a chair like this, and he starts lighting a cigarette up. I say, man, this ain't Austria. You can't smoke butts in here.
That's great.
And he's got like 8 of his buddies there, and they're all starting to. I said, no, you guys got to go outside. And he's sitting in that machine. Wait till you get out, and you can go out and have your cigarette.
That's funny.
That's fantastic.
He was really a cool guy, but I'll never forget that. I tell Thomas that story all the time. Well, I've talked, but I did tell him that story. So
God, it just must be the words out, right? Like everybody's like, "Hey, where's the best hockey shop in Minnesota?" And like, just go to Strauss. Strauss is where it's at.
There is pure hockey and everything. Even the young kids, we train them like hockey guys. I remember before it was pure hockey, it was total hockey, and I met the owner at a Vegas hockey show one time, and he says, "We don't hire hockey people. We hire trained people to sell." I go, okay. And then they moved into Maplewood, and about 50 people came in with the wrong size skates and the wrong.
Right.
I kind of figure, they were doing something wrong.
Right. It's not Foot Locker.
Well,
it's hockey.
There's guys like me. There's guys like Scott Hambley that's been there 30 years and has coached hockey and played, and who's coached more hockey than Moose Young-Hans, who's a legend everywhere in the East Side.
Legend, yep.
And the kids we hire, we train them to, I can say in all the years I've probably misfit 5 people in 30 years. Now we really pride ourselves on that and stand behind our product. And we're really old school. We really are. It's as old school as you can think. If somebody has a problem, we deal with it, and we don't just say, here, we'll return it or something.
My son had bursitis on his big knobby ankle bone, the inside ankle bone, and he fought that thing for 3 months. He couldn't skate. He couldn't find his skates didn't work because they didn't fit. And we talked to everybody we could, went to a surgeon, and he let it, die down a little bit. And Rhody and I kept conversation. Well, what should we do? Should we move out of Bauer? Should we go to CCM? What should we, check it out? Rhody got him a new pair of skates, like these are a little softer. This got this, this got that. And he hasn't had a problem since. And, just worked with them and figured it out. And a little bit, of course, try them out. They don't fit. They don't work out. Let me know. We'll talk. We'll figure things out. And I was like, all right, is he going to have to stop skating? Like, this thing is big and not healing, and it's worked out. So he is the man.
I'm known as the dime store podiatrist. I've actually had doctors send people in to see me. Guys that I know that are podiatrists. Go see Rhody. He'll work.
In fact, I'm not kidding. It wasn't the surgeon because Meicheling was the surgeon, but it was the doctor before I went to Meicheling. And he said, I called around. This guy didn't know anything about hockey. I called around to some guys I know that know hockey. And there's a store called Strauss. And there you should talk to a guy named Bill. I was like, okay, I know that guy.
I coach with that guy.
Yeah, right.
That's incredible. But the old school mentality, the old school looking out for everybody. It's the epitome of why we wanted you here for 6 months.
Yeah.
You are East Side. You're not from there, but you are part of the East Side because you've been there and you've helped so many different people out. It's incredible. There's a story at the end of this, but I'm going to wait for that but you're such a good dude, and you've helped all of our kids, and some people go there just to go there.
I get guys that come in and don't want to buy it. They just come to. The one thing about the East Side is, and I'll go back and I get a little emotional. As you guys probably know, that I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer 17 years ago. People got together and held a benefit for my family, my wife and my family. Well, my wife also, she'll probably get mad at me, is a breast cancer survivor. We both had cancer. But they had a fundraiser at Mancini's. And to this day, John and Pat, they still laugh about it. I still own the biggest bar tab in the history of Mancini's. They went through, they always say, went through 140 cases of Miller, 8 cases of Captain, 8 kegs. And I says, well, whose record did I beat? And Johnny always say, you beat Norm Coleman, Senator Norm Coleman.
Norm Coleman.
It's one thing I'm proud of.
That's
So,
great.
yeah. But the East Side rallied. There were people from everywhere. All my buddies and guys worked, led by Moose and his crew, and one of the Stalmers, as we talked about early, Cricket Stalmer, and more people. I can't think now. It's been so long, but it was all East Side, and everybody showed up. But you couldn't park. People to this day tell me I came to get there. I come there to park, and I had to park 10 blocks away. And I said, "The hell with it!" But it was amazing, and everybody rallied around that. It was called Rally for Rhody. We had a walk around Lake Phelan because I'm an avid walker, and I walked Lake Phelan. We had every Stillwater, Hill Murray, because you guys know I roughed high school and college hockey my last 20 years. And we had the Hill Murray girls hockey team there, Stillwater, White Bear, Roseville. They all came and supported me at Phelan with the walk. And it was just tremendous. Again, that's that East Side mentality too, you know.
Just look out for each other, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So do you have, that's awesome. Do you have any crazy Strauss stories? Like one thing I'm thinking, like when we go in there during like playoff time, you'll like run into White Bear parents or Hill Murray parents or coaches or that, or is I mean, there's that, but is there also like things that you look back on and go, oh God.
Well, there was just one the other day. There was just one guy calls me. It was last Monday. First call. He says, I'm looking for a size blah, blah, blah skate for my son. He says, I'm in Chicago. I says, okay, what size? He says, size 10. And that was a junior 10. Not into the, I go, okay. And he's looking for like a $300-400 skate. And go, okay. Size 10. I'm thinking, So I went and looked and I found one and I said, yeah, I got something. It's about $149. He goes, no, I need something about $300 or $400. He's the best 5-year-old in Chicago. And he was serious. He's a top 5-year-old. He skates every day. He needs something more expensive. He's the top 5-year-old in Chicago. I said, well, I got nothing to help you. I hung up and I looked around. I was going to grab a knife and slit both of my wrists. I can't take this. The top 5-year-old in Chicago. And we've also had guys come in back in the day when Scott Hambley sharpened skates and who was the Bantam coach at White Bear, or
say he dulled him or something.
And they said, "Wow." They'd come up to me. I don't want that guy to sharpen. He's the White Bear coach, and we play them tonight.
That's funny.
And I go back and tell him that. He goes, do you think really this is my job? I make money here. I'm not going to dull some, but we've had more people. I've had people come in and bitch to me and that we ruined the kid in tryouts because he had the wrong stick and it was all our fault. He wanted refunds. I've had that 100 times over the year. Oh my
God.
What?
My kid didn't make the A team because you fit him in the wrong skate and the wrong stick. I've had that more often than anything.
See, that's when I need to call Brian Corrales because I punched somebody right in the goddamn face. I mean, they're being friggin' morons. Holy cow. My biggest, and Bobby, and because I know how your kids are with sticks, the biggest fallacy, maybe fallacy isn't the right word, but the biggest farce is 8 to 12-year-old kids do not need a $300 stick right now. Right.
They don't. And maybe if I'm saying this and I sell them, you want to buy people, and I tell that to
they're going to still come and buy them.
Yeah, they're still going to buy them. They're not going to listen.
Right.
You heard it
But
here
5-year-old
first.
kid.
You heard it here
don't
first.
need a $300 stick right now in their career.
But never start them with that ultra light one. Because going back to the heavy ones, it is harder. for sure, right?
Yeah, but you can get, and again, 8 to 12-year-old, you can get a nice stick for $100.
Yeah.
That's all you need. They don't, you know.
We use trees.
Yeah. We
Right.
used to get them 3 for $9.99.
Or the Northland with the blue line up it. Yeah.
Northland Custom Pro.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
there I go back to the dinosaur here. I know everything is so much change. And both you guys know, having kids still in hockey, that, you know, what's my biggest pet peeve? And you know people that I won't say their names, but they do, what do they call it? Not bedroom hockey in the morning, breakfast hockey.
Yeah.
Oh,
They take their little 10-year-old kids before school at 6 or 7 at the rec center
Sure. Yeah.
and skate. And I'm going, oh my God, people.
Yeah. Get them
It's
up
cold.
early.
Yeah. But again, that, you know, again, dinosaur-ish, I keep using that term, but we just played, but now it's.
Shit, I used to have a guy when I played a baseball at Parkway.
Yeah.
He's like, you're going to be a pro. The only way you're going to get there is to train. He would pick me up. Remember Mike Gibson?
Yeah. Yeah.
Gibby would pick me up at 6 a.m. every day, and we'd go run friggin' Phelan.
My
Right.
Bobby's training you to be the best.
I asked me how long.
You didn't
how
stick
many,
with it, did you?
How many days
now
did I
look
make
at you
it?
doing a shitty podcast with me.
But Gibby, I mean, they were great. I love Mike Gibson. I love Bob Gibson. I love all those guys.
He coached at
Parkway,
and then he coached over at, what do you call it? Twin.
East Twins.
East Twins.
Yeah. I mean, those are phenomenal facilities just for having baseball. You know, we're getting off hockey, but it doesn't matter. I mean, those guys are great East Side guys, right? I mean, Bob, Mike, Billy. I mean, they were.
You go. I know, and again, you go. I keep referring to Moose, but Moose has been coaching since he's 18. He's 66.
Wow.
I think he's coached. He coached baseball.
Is that 58 years? No, with the heartache, I'm joking.
A full 58 years.
48 years.
Math was the best 5 years of your life. But you think guys like that? I mean, there's nobody.
Nobody's had that kind of
like
impact.
that. I mean, again, I've been fortunate for 10 years to allow the Stillwater people to let me coach, and I coached with Tom, but I'm not your on in Tom. No, I'm not your on ice guy. I'm just kind of that. But it's been, and I brag about this. I literally brag about this. I've never had a problem with a Stillwater parent in my 10 years there.
Wow, that's impressive.
And I've never, but you know what? Because I
You drink a lot?
I hang with them, be honest, yes. And I talk to them, and there's something going on. I tell, it's that guy that's annihilates himself.
But you have a different demeanor about you.
It's a different coaching.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's how you diffuse things, and you talk to them. And
we've never
100%.
The year we coached, we never had a problem.
You sing
we even
songs
had-
at out-of-town tournaments.
Yeah, we had Bobby's kid on the team. We still never have a problem.
I spent a year with him, so I made it through there.
Let me transition a little bit here and talk. We do a segment, Rhody, called Bobby's Bar Review.
Yeah.
And today, Bobby's got a good bar review. We went and checked this place out in North St. Paul. It's called
Max Diner.
Max
I
Diner.
was just there for breakfast last
All
Friday.
right. So Bobby's going to tell us.
You might be able to get into this.
Bobby's going to give us his review. And the best thing about Bobby's bar review is all the bars are good, right? When Bobby's going to I love this place. This is great. So Bobby, tell us what you thought about Max.
Max was great. Atmosphere was great. Diner-ish, which that's what it's called, at Max Diner. But they had a lot of TVs. Bar is nice. Food was, you got different little categories.
The food was great.
I thought the food, what did we have?
Yeah, not a lot, a couple apps.
But I did go back there a different time, and food was great.
Okay.
The atmosphere, it's a little, you never know what you're going to get. I think, it depends on what time you're going in. There had to be 30 ARP cards passed out when I was there the second time, but the food was really good.
Probably one of mine.
Yeah.
The food was good. I thought the food was really good.
So we got some categories here. So drinks, would you go out of 10? What do you think?
Oh, the first night we were there, they were pretty solid. A couple old fashions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say 7.5, 8.
Okay. Atmosphere.
Atmosphere, I'd say it's 6. maybe 5.5, 6.
Yep. And why would you rank it that?
Because it's a diner. I mean, it's really more for food than it is for. You
Yeah.
know,
It's
right.
more older people
Yeah.
dish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really
More, a
can't
little more
sit
of a
at the-
restaurant
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Still have TV, so you can bring.
And
you
they
know,
got pull tabs.
You can have a date, like an Alzheimer date, and make sure that everybody can watch TV still.
A nice patio.
So talk about like atmosphere wise, we kind of go pull tabs, golden tea, and touch tunes. Any of those three?
Pull tabs.
pull tabs.
So
Definitely.
one of 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Service.
Service is good.
Yeah.
They're running hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always like looking at the waitress or the bartender when they have 20 of these old ladies there, because they want everything now and they aren't getting tipped anything. So those bartenders, waitresses, or whatever, they're pissy for sure. But
Happy Mother's Day.
happy Mother's Day.
And then food. You thought food was
I
pretty
thought the food was really good. I mean, food was probably the best thing. I'd say 8.5, 9.
good. Okay. So we got probably hovering around what would your final score at?
I'd say a 7.5, 8, maybe,
Ooh.
somewhere in there.
Okay.
The food was great though, so
Yeah.
go there for the food for sure.
I've been there for 2 breakfasts. The first time was there. It was terrible service, cold food. We were there last week. It was great service and hot food. But they had just opened.
Yeah.
And we were there for lunch one time, and service was a little slow. But it's a new. I mean, I think the people that own it run
B52s, yeah,
in Kimber Grove,
right,
so they know what they're doing.
right.
But I had their chicken sandwich was good, and they got a nice patio outside. And nice to have another
Another
place
option.
like that in
Right.
North St. Paul.
Go to Newman's and walk across the street.
Yeah. Good. Great food. Great food spot.
Yeah.
Rhody, got favorite bars? East Side bars? What do you like?
Well, Vogel's, you can't beat Vogel's.
Right.
That's
Well, I
probably-
mean, we'll have to do a bar review at Vogel's, but I can probably tell you what it's going to be already.
Okay.
The ambiance.
I know.
and everything. We'll save
Don't
this
get,
one though.
don't get
'cause
into
this
that.
is
Yeah.
an
What else you
iconic
like,
one.
Rhody? Where you like hanging out at?
East Side Ob's.
Yeah.
Ob's is good.
Yeah.
The food is always good at Ob's, and
What about back in the day?
the back of the day,
Rainey's,
was
Chuck's, Louie's,
Spanky's.
Spanky's. That's what I heard. Spanky's was your bar.
Spanky's and Michael's.
Spanky's. Well, then Michael's. That's where all the turkey boogie was at.
That
Michael's
was the
every
Whiz
year.
Kid Turkey Boogie.
Yeah, that was the best party of the year.
The Whiz Kid Turkey Boogie.
Yeah.
I think that's the name of this podcast. Mark it right now, Gabe.
I got punched right in the eye
That's-
one time at that bar.
We
Or at
used
that-
to have this Turkey Boogie, and the band Rags
Yeah.
would always play. We actually had it at the Armory on the East Side one night. We've taken our first, well, I say I had moved to the East Side when I was working for the Fighting Saints. I lived at home with, I have 3 sisters and a brother with a 2-bedroom house, 1 bath. And I'd go on road trips. I'd come home at 3 a.m, be on the road, blah, blah, blah. So I finally moved out to the East Side on 3rd and Johnson Parkway. And I got to know all these Whiz Kid guys. I didn't play ball with them at the time until later. But anyways, they'd have this Turkey Boogie. It started at the Glass Bar,
Yeah.
which was on Mariah and 3rd.
Third Mariah. Yeah.
And we had to,
wasn't there anymore.
we
yeah.
played music. We didn't have a band. And our kegs ran out. We had to go next door to Glass Bar and blah, blah, blah. The next year they kept upgrade it. They used to go Old Cottage Grove, that hall out there. We had it
Yeah.
out there a couple of times. Used to be at the Hazel Park Commercial Club. I mean, that was the craziness of all craziness. It got bigger one night. The night we had it at the Armory on the East Side Armory. We went through 38 kegs. Now think about that. That was.
I'm telling you, it was a party like you've
That
never
was
seen
from
before.
9 to 1. 38 kegs of beer.
9 in the morning. That's when it starts.
No, not that.
Oh.
It was always on Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Well, it's the night before Thanksgiving every year.
Yeah, every
9
year.
to 1, you went through 38 kegs?
38 kegs.
Holy.
38
Holy
kegs.
Christ.
That's a lot of beer to drink.
All right, everybody. Let's talk about Duke Cannon real quick. It's playoff hockey season. And you know what that means? That playoff beards are ready to be unleashed. So you've seen it out there on the ice. You've seen mutton chops. You've seen beards. You've seen mustaches. And Duke Cannon Supply Company makes those hardworking grooming products for hardworking guys like us East Siders. I'm an East Sider, right? So check out DukeCannon.com where you can find all these products. You can even use Beard10 and you get 10% off your next order at Duke Cannon. All right. And then we've got one more quick sponsor we want to talk about, and this is Unreal. You got to check out the latest podcast with Tom Garrity and John King where they had Michael Jordan, the founder of Unreal, on there. And what I love about Unreal is they are a true, unique, independent clothing brand, and they've got the coolest stuff going on right now. They've got these sweatshirts that you've seen all over the place. They've got these high necks on them, and they got they got the cool pants, they got the sweatshirts, they got the workout clothes. They are a sweet apparel company for athletes. And if you are the athlete type, you like lounging around, you like hanging out, these are the go-to garments you need to reach for every day, not just game day. So check out Unreal for yourself and just visit unreal.co, and that's UNRL.co. No, it's not .com, it's .co, because they are just that cool. And if you use promo code PULLTAB15, guess what? You get 15% off your next order. So visit unreal.co, check them out, tell them Bobby Finn sent you, and you'll get 15% off your next order. So I want to talk about one other thing. So we've got one more segment, and we'll branch off of this, but it's the Bobby Finn Don't Be a Dick of the Week, where we highlight someone who's just not being cool. Bobby, who's your Don't Be a Dick of the Week?
Well, I was going with somebody else until last night. Last night I was up watching the Twins all night long, and Bill Cuzzy, the umpire, holy shit. Has he screwed the Twins? Oh my God. When he screwed Joe Mauer back in the day on that double down the line, and he called it foul, and it actually hit Melky Cabrera.
His glove.
And stayed fair about a foot, and he called it foul. And then he said, maybe I didn't really see it. Well, then ask for some help, because you got 15 other umps out there, right? Last night, I don't know if you saw it, Bill, or not, but
I fell asleep.
it was late. I think it went 14, but
12.
So Kirilloff was up. And I think it was the 10th. And they start with the new rule is they start with somebody on second base. His base is juiced. I mean, Kirilloff's up and he's been smoking the ball. And he called a high and outside pitch. It was outside by 4 inches. High and outside. He didn't swing. And he called it a strike. Kirilloff looks back at him like, what? I can't hit that. Third strike, inside. You can't have it both ways. Usually umps call it outside.
So he called a strike that was an outside ball, and then he called another strike that was an inside ball.
And that was the third strike. So he's done. And it's like usually umps are pretty consistent about where they're calling it. Are they calling the inside or are they calling the outside? And Cuzzy just says, I'm from New York. I don't give a shit. F you, Minnesota.
It seems that way, right?
Oh, I'm so freaking.
Be done with them.
Yeah. I mean,
Rhody, you call it one of both ways, right? You're like, you just got to be consistent.
When I was reffing, that was my favorite line when some dad hollered, call them both ways.
But baseball's
There's 2
different.
teams out there.
But baseball's
Baseball is
different.
Yeah.
When you're behind home plate and you see the plate, you either stand on the right side of the catcher's shoulder, maybe on the left side. I mean, so everybody's seeing something different, but usually they're pretty consistent.
Those guys are.
He's calling it inside or he's calling it outside. You can't, not both. And this strikeout pitch was 3 inches, 4 inches inside too. I was like,
Bill Cuzzy.
They were ripping them all day on K-Fan. Holy, I mean, usually those guys don't get too carried away. They ripped.
Oh,
they ripped Cuzzy.
He just got to be our Don't Be a Dick of the Week.
The dick of the week.
I like that. Good choice.
So, Rhody, one other segment I want to get into, I want to talk to you about is you talked about at the beginning with the St. Paul Fighting Saints.
Yeah.
For those who didn't grow up with the St. Paul Fighting Saints, why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because we gotta bury down to who are the Saints? What was it all about?
Well, they were the Minnesota Fighting Saints.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, not St. Paul. St. Paul was in the 60s. That was the first group. They were called the St. Paul Saints.
Okay.
Where they were a farm club of New York Rangers. But when 1972-3 was the first year of the World Hockey Association. So it was guys signed like Jerry Cheevers, Derek Sanderson, who was my idol, was the first $2 million player. Bobby Hull.
Yep.
Bobby Hull played for the Saints.
No, in the league. I'm sorry. He
Okay.
played for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
So there was, and I get this right, there was the Chicago Cougars, the Minnesota Fighting Saints, the Winnipeg Jets, the Quebec Nordiques, New York Raiders, West LA Sharks. So it was, and at that time they stole a lot of guys from the NHL, and we had our first year we had mostly college guys or Olympians, guys like Len Lillyholm, Jack McCartan, Mike Lefty Curran, Craig Falkman, who was a Johnson Eastside guy. That was their very first. But next year, then they started eating out all the NHL guys. They were paying them guys $200,000 back in 73. I was making $325 full of $1,000 washing jobs.
And they're tough guys. There's good hockey. What was it all about?
They were tough guys. Let me just tell you a story too. So the Fighting Saints Farm Club was Johnstown, the Johnstown Jets.
Mm-hmm.
The movie Slapshot was our farm club. So those guys from the original movie were our farm guys. I got to know some of them guys. And that movie was about 60% true. It wasn't a lot of that stuff.
We had Jack Carlson on here, and he said the same thing. We posted this like this is how this scene happened. These guys actually climbed the boards.
Actually,
yep. And people were on our Instagrams going, "Oh, that didn't happen. The movie was written by a blah blah." I was like, "No, that's actually what happened." It
was written by Nancy Dowd, I think her name was.
Yep.
It was her brother played for the Johnstown Jets. In the movie, they were Charleston Chiefs. Glenn Sonmore, who was the Saints general manager and coach for the first year.
Yep.
Father-in-law's name was John Mitchell, was the GM. I'm kind of a historian on the
I guess we got the right guy on the podcast.
So our guys are going, and Paul Holmgren played there. And again, Dave Hansen, I'll tell you a quick Dave Hansen story. So Dave was, the reason it was supposed to be the Carlson brothers. But Jack was playing for, I think, the North Stars at the time.
He got called up to Edmonton, he said.
Okay. I couldn't remember where it was. But he wasn't in the picture. So they changed the name to the Hanson brothers.
Yep, got Dave.
Well, let me go way back. So our first year of training camp of the Fighting Saints, we had it at the old deck at the Duluth, Minnesota. And Glenn Sommer says, I got 3 guys coming in. And I knew who the Carlson boys were because they were my age and I played against them. And these 3 knuckleheads come in from Virginia, Minnesota and tried out. It was like the 3 guys with the black glasses. And the first game, they each got in a fight. And I knew who these guys were. And it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So I knew about the Carlson brothers. And I knew they got sent to Johnstown, blah, blah, blah. But one of my favorite stories, David Hansen told me this. He lived in a little apartment building above the drugstore in Johnstown, and they're going to be in the movie. So one morning, he hears a knock at the door, and he goes, "Who in the bleep is it?" And he hears, "Hey, open the door." He gets up, and he's in his underwear, opens the door. And it was Paul Newman, the actor.
Oh, shit.
And he goes, and Hans goes, "What the fuck you want?" And he goes, "I want to rent your apartment building for making of the movie." Well, to this day, God rest his soul. And David would tell me that Paul and him became very, very good friends after the movie and everything. And Paul had a place, I think, on Cross Lake or, up in the Gulch. Yeah. And he was a big racer. So Dave, every summer, would go up and visit him, say, and to this day, he always tells Dave that was one of the top 5 movies I ever made in my life.
Oh, absolutely.
So David got to know him really well. But that's the story. Our Slapshot was made, and those guys half the stuff is true. Well, my other story is, and in the movie, the big movie is Ogie Oglethorp. Well, Ogie Oglethorp is a true guy, and you guys probably know. His name's Bill Goldthorpe. He's from Thunder Bay, Ontario. So he played for the Thunder Bay Hurricanes or Vulcans. They were all my buddies played on St. Paul Junior Stars, they were called. Herb Brooks coached them.
Mhm.
So I knew who Bill Goldthorpe was. He was complete, as crazy as a human being that you can even think. He should have been locked up. I mean, he bit guys, he fought guys. So I saw him play junior hockey. A couple years later, I never knew what happened to him. So I'm working for the Fighting Saints. I used to drive this big white van around to haul the equipment of the visiting teams and stuff. So Sommer calls me in the office. You got to go to the airport. We just traded for a guy. And I go, who? He goes, you know who he is. I go, well, can't you tell me? No, just go get him. So that was the day you could walk up to the runway. You could walk up to the jetway and watch people come right off the plane. And I'm sitting there waiting. And this guy comes out. He's got a 6-foot red hair afro getting off the airplane. I go, oh my God, we got Goldie.
I'd never heard that story.
Oglethorpe?
And it's just like, I said to myself, like, oh my God, Goldie. So I get him in my van. I take him to get his gear, all his equipment, and get him, because he's the only guy. He wants to skate, but he wants to stop at a sporting goods store and get some handball gloves. And I couldn't figure out, what does he want with handball gloves? So I go in there and I get him a pair of handball gloves. Okay, take him down to the locker room, get all his equipment, and he wants to skate. Well, before he skates, he takes the handball gloves, cuts the fingertips off them. He goes in and we had a locker room, we had a sauna, and we had a smoking room because half the guys smoked between periods during the game. And we had a punching bag. Well, he didn't hit the punching bag. He took the glove, put his gloves on, and he pounded the cement wall.
Jesus.
Like 20 times. I'm not exaggerating, punched the wall. And I go, what are you doing? He goes, toughen up F and A. Toughen F and up A. All right, so fine, great. He said, I'm just going to skate a little bit. So, all right, he went out and skated for about 10 minutes. Finally, he said, I got to go. I got things to do. We got a game tonight. He's skating. I hear, boom, boom. So he's skating as hard as he can. He hits the goal line, jumps up in the air, and checks the plexiglass with his back. I picked the puck up, so I come off the ice. What were you doing? The same thing. Toughen up an A.
Toughen up,
Yeah. Well,
Canadian
the F-bomb was thrown in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But he didn't last very long. He was literally was crazy. He scared me. He really scared
Is he a big guy? Was Ogie a big guy?
He was like 5'10", about 170.
Really? Just the toughest son of a bitch,
Just crazy. His eyes were about 8 inches in his head. He had that red hair afro. I mean, he literally was crazy.
That's great.
And you guys probably know. He played in Syracuse. That's who we got him from.
They had him on the
yeah. And you ever heard a story? He was sitting next to the bus one night with Bob Costas. That was Bob Costas' first job, announcer for the Syracuse General.
Oh, really?
And he was going to beat Bob Costas up.
Oh, Jesus, that's fantastic.
Was there a lot of that with the Saints in that league? Was there just tough guys and guys come off the ice all messed up or what?
One of my biggest thrills was I got to be the equipment manager for the second All-Star game, and Bobby Hull and Gordie Howe were sitting next in the locker room. But Gordie was different than Bob. Bobby would smile and, hey, Billy. Gordie was grumpy. And it was funny because I talked to him a little bit there. I played against his kids in the National Bantam Tournament from Detroit. So one night we talked during the All-Star game, and he was blah, blah, blah. But one night Goldie come up he played for the Houston Aeros, and Goldie was giving Gordie Howe crap. And Gordie says, I'm going to carve my initials in your face if you come any closer.
That's great.
And Gordie had arms like this.
Oh, really?
And he never lifted a weight. He was the biggest looking man and real quiet, where Bobby was effervescent.
Yeah.
They were complete opposites, but great guys.
Gordie Howe, a farmer, or come off like farmlands, or like those guys are just like built big, Like
Bobby was
just a big farm boy.
Bobby, that Sports Illustrated picture, probably they showed him baling hay, and he looked like a bodybuilder.
Just chiseled, right?
Yeah.
God. Yeah. Goldie was crazy. We had another guy named Blaine Bruiser Rideman. He came in again, and we got rid of him. And the next year later, I found he was a pro wrestler.
That's
Blaine
sweet.
Bruiser Rideman.
Oh, that's great.
But a lot of the guys, it's funny. During a 3 months ago, they had a Fighting Saints reunion, and about 10 of the guys showed up, and 2 of the guys called me and wanted me to come down. I said, "What do you want me to come down for?" Well, make long story short, we sat outside the XL and signed autographs, and I was at a table. So it was me. I was at the end table. It was Henry Boucher, the legendary,
Right.
and me.
Oh my
was the
God.
last guy.
Legends.
Legends.
Two
And
legends.
People were
Absolutely.
coming through the line with Gary Gambucci, Mike Kern, Carl Wetzel, Ted Hampson, Bill Butters. These guys are signing autographs. I remember the first one, the guy said, "Well, what was your number?" I said, "Hey, these guys want me to sit." I was the equipment manager. So he says, "Just put Bill Rhody EQ." I signed 100 autographs. I'm some
that's
lowly
great.
jock washer. But it was those guys still, to this day, still remember me, and they were really good guys. The first year I worked, now I was 18, 19 years old, and I didn't know this much about guys. The end of the year, I got a tip. They handed me an envelope. "Here you go." And I looked, I go, "It's $5,000 cash."
Wow.
Wow.
I know, I'm 18 years old.
I mean, you've been like this forever, and obviously you made everybody happy,
Well, I can't change, so
right?
I hope I made your kids happy when I coached.
Oh,
they
yeah.
loved you, man.
Everybody loves Billy Rhody.
Absolutely, they loved you.
That's still to this. That's one of the, besides all my reffing and the Fighting Saints and my co-experience with all the Stillwater people has been great. The kids still come in and call me coach, from Charlie Strobel to Wiley, that both kids playing D1, and all those kids until kids not even playing, which is as long as they did well in school and moved on. But it's been a great experience with all you guys, and you guys know we talk about this all the time off this podcast, but I've had fun with everybody down there. I wouldn't change anything. It's been great. It's just we've never got to the top of the line. It's so hard to see these kids lose. I'm like a little girl. I go in the back room and start crying.
We all do. I know.
Yeah.
That's what it's like to be a Minnesotan, right?
Misery, right?
Get ready for it.
But
Thanks, Billy. It's
All
been
right. It's great.
It's been fun having
Thanks.
you on.
We'll do this again.
Yeah, it's been great.
absolutely. And,
Thank you.
And Billy, I this is gonna probably suck to end this like this, but you call my mom and her friend Shelly the beer girls, right?
I've called them since
Yeah,
19.
and you and Henry,
Yeah,
which is
Henry,
your
yeah.
cousin,
Yeah,
the beer boys,
the
right?
beer boys. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, Shelly, is battling cancer
I
right
didn't
now.
know that. Yeah.
Just found it out like a
I
few days ago. So
didn't know.
she's actually in the hospital right now.
Oh God.
Just want to say, prayers for her and
Let's say a prayer.
yeah,
out
and
for her.
fight it and get better, and then we can have a beer together again,
Yeah.
because she drinks Golden Light too.
Yeah,
So
I
it
know.
must be that old time thing. But
Oh, that's sad.
yeah, it is.
Every day we turn around. I bless every day after fighting cancer 17 years ago. And my wife, we talk. Every day's a good day.
Every day is a good
Every
day.
day's a good day.
And you know what? Talking about you being on here, my mom said it picked her up, and she obviously has been in a bad place, right?
Yeah.
But
Oh, that's her best
that was
friend.
that was one of the things that made her happy. So
Awesome. Give her
yeah.
a big hug.
we'll do for sure, buddy.
Yep.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's been great. It's a lot
Thank
of
you.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
thanks.
fantastic. But hey, everybody, thanks for listening. We can be heard on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and all the other platforms in your podcast. Please like, subscribe, and tell a friend about us. Last of all, just like I learned growing up on the East Side, work hard. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Tell it like it is. Help your neighbors. Try to contribute in a positive way. Smile, laugh, and be a good person. And most of all, don't be a dick.
That's yesterday.